very hard to imagine anybody saying to you, in all seriousness, I love Keir Starmer because... I think one of the great tragedies of modern politics, post-Brexit politics, is that we've, as a population, sort of fallen into the trap of thinking that an outward veneer, usually fraudulent, of bonhomie is somehow preferable to dullness. But Keir Starmer's dullness has not delivered the things that dullness was supposed to deliver. It was supposed to deliver competence. It was supposed to deliver efficiency. It was supposed to deliver results and tangible improvements. So you'd say he might not be the greatest orator in history, and you wouldn't necessarily want to go for a pina colada with him at the Dog and Duck, but this is what we need. We need a managerial prime minister, because that's how you get things done. And, of course, that hasn't happened. But there are also questions about what state the country is in. We have become addicted to this madness and this drama. It's ugly. I can't remember what life was like before 2016, before the British public was given permission to believe whatever it wanted to believe, regardless of facts and evidence. I think Starmer has been close to disastrous in this role.
What's been really poor has been the story writing and the storytelling. Because this Labour government has done a lot of good things, but it has not been communicated well. That's in terms of how it's been written in the first place, sometimes the timing of communications, but certainly then, of course, the delivery. I don't think Keir Starmer is a bad person at all.
Nor do I.
I just don't think he is a good leader.
When did you arrive at that conclusion? I sense reluctantly.
It was reluctantly. I voted for him to be leader. I think it was around how he was unable to be relatable. It didn't matter how he tried to change his style or talk about his family, which I know he hates doing. Yeah. It's not his style. He just wasn't relatable. I still think he's a good person.
It's brutal, that, isn't it? It's because it is. I know that you're deeper than this, but it is recognising that elections or political battles in many ways are beauty contests now.
He has not taken on his enemies head on.
Who are his enemies?
For me, and I'll give a great example here. Before the election, the last election here, it had been abundantly clear that the Conservatives had led this country to the point of beyond breaking.
Yes.
Yet our political classes, our media, even, let's say, I remember before Tony Blair became PM in 97 here, even the Sun had endorsed him. All of these media moguls had withheld their consent to Starmer being PM.
Yeah.
They held their breath. It had been abundantly clear to me and to many people that this same media class were never going to give him or the Labour Party in any guise a chance to succeed.
When you say that, the little pebble in my plimsoll is, what are they so scared of?
They were scared of an alternative voice being out there, however small, letting the public know, especially in this era of social media and so on, becoming more and more prominent, who would actually shed a light of how corrupt this class is, about how bent and how they're willing to drag this country to the pits of hell just so that they could be enriched. And that terrifies them. It terrifies Trump.
But he hasn't done that.
No, he hasn't. And I think that's where I say that he hasn't been brave. He should have identified his opponents and had that seminal battle. He has got a great stonking majority in Parliament. He would not have had a better opportunity to really, and I know this sounds dramatic in the sort of language, really nobble his opponents and let them know,
I agree,
I'm going to rule.
I agree.
I've got the ability to lead.
I agree.
And he hasn't done that.
Do any of us have anything interesting to say about who should be... We do. We must do, mustn't we? This idea of the package, the presentation being inadequate, what Keir Starmer represents physically. People talk a lot about his intonation. I used to roll my eyes, but there comes a point when I've heard that word intonation so often that I think, well, you might roll your eyes, pal, but it obviously matters. People want to hear. I mean, Farage does this really weird thing where he sort of jerks around the place like this when he's talking. And I don't know, some of the sort of little weird mini-me's that surround him have started copying him as well. It's obviously more effective in some ways than Keir Starmer's manner or delivery. Boris Johnson, of course, famously pretends that he is forgetful and chaotic and sort of makes like an eccentric Oxford Don. something about what Keir Starmer does butters very, very few parsnips. So I have said for a long time that I think Labour need a leader with a northern accent. And that is an incredibly shallow thing to say. I mean, incredibly shallow. But I live in Brexit Britain. This country has never been shallower. The electorate has never been less reliable.
They spend more focus on winning votes from the right wing of the world instead of being honest about what they stand for. So they come out with this stuff about the boats and what they're going to do to stop the boats, when really what they should be doing is what they're going to do to help these people, because they're too scared of losing votes and stuff like that. They've forgotten who they are. And with respect to who do I want to take over from Keir Starmer, it needs to be somebody who is a socialist. I'm not a socialist, but I believe in socialist values. I believe in helping those less well off than us, and I believe in those that have more should pay more and stuff like that.